different ideas about what symbolism is. Okay? So I want to speak on that a little bit. All of us have had some type of experience when it comes to symbols. Okay. Whether it's in our dreams, whether it's in our meditation, whether we're driving down the road and all of a sudden something pops out of the signs that makes us think, ooh, what does that mean? So getting a little bit more information about it will enhance our ability to understand what we're receiving. Okay? Now, symbolism actually is the early language of humans. Okay? They didn't have a written language. They didn't have a language that was united between everyone. They used symbols. In some ways, people think it's a forgotten language, but if you're a spiritualist, a medium, or anyone that's developing a higher self, you know how important symbolism is, and it is not forgotten. It is not forgotten. The message which we receive in symbols always have a little bit of a greater message than just on the surface. So when we get into symbols, we need to really look at things like the color, your own feeling when you see them. If you're feeling positive, if you're getting a little bit, ooh, whoa, you need to pull all that in because that helps you find out what that symbol means to you. Okay? And raise your hand. Everybody's had a dream or an experience with a symbol, right? John, I know you have. Raise your hand. Okay. And like I said, the reason we study symbols is to give us a better understanding of the symbol, but also of ourself. Okay? Because the way we perceive those symbols are based on the information and the knowledge we have. So the more knowledge we have on this, the more secure we feel in acting on anything we receive from these symbols. Okay? Let me go on. There's 3 types of symbols. Okay? A lot of people think they are all one clumped together, but there's not. There's the symbolism that's we call the universal symbols. And what that is, we can hand out that handout now. So we can go through the pages. I have a handout here, and it breaks down, there's a universal symbol, there's a symbol that is based on national, I can't even speak this morning, the natural energy of yourself, personal. There's what you would say maybe a symbol that relates to the nation, and it's accepted that way. So it's important to understand where that symbol fits in your understanding of symbolism. Okay? Now let's look at that a little bit. We're handing out, I'm sorry those people online don't have a copy of it, but as we discuss it'll make sense to you. Okay? Now, the universal symbols can be considered archetype symbols. They're sort of, the whole world sees them in the same way. One example of that is the scale of justice. If you see the symbol of the scale of justice, no matter where you are in the world, it resonates. No matter what culture you are, it resonates. The cross, the Christian cross, when you see that, that is something everybody understands. All right? But we'll get a little further in that because your understanding of the Christian cross can be a little bit different when you throw your personal energy in it. But we'll get into that a little bit in a few minutes. Any of you that have studied anything about symbols know that Carl Jung was very much into symbols, very much. And so he felt like we all came in with certain, I guess he was one that our fate was already predetermined. And so these symbols were very much important to his line of study. Now, the cultural symbols are the ones that stay within the culture, like a flag for the United States or a flag for any other nature. You understand that based on where you live. It's not necessarily something that the whole world would understand. Okay, for me, I can see a flag, and there's maybe 5 that I can recognize right off the bat. Okay, so I have to go and look at the whole list of flags to find out what country this resonates with, because it's more cultural than universal. The cultural symbols are an extreme sometimes. Can you name 2 cultural symbols that we're aware of? Anyone? Om is a universal symbol. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a flyer out here for you guys. You got one? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Om is a universal one. Yes, ma'am. Peace sign. Absolutely. That's more cultural. Okay. Yes, John. Red light. True. That could be.
The stop sign.
Stop sign, exactly. Stop sign. 2 that came into my mind was the Coca-Cola symbol. That's cultural.
Oh, sure.
And so that you don't even have to know what the name is. When you see that symbol, you know it's Coca-Cola. And you know it in contrast to the sign that says Pepsi. Okay? So that's a cultural sign. Now, cultural signs can also be locational culture signs. Okay, so if you lived in New York, you'd have a set of cultural signs that maybe somebody in Miami didn't know. Okay, the subway in New York is a prime example of some of the signs. Okay, if you didn't understand some of those signs, you'd be in Miami. Okay, so it's important to understand the location when it comes to cultural signs, very much so. Here in the South, we have a lot of them. We have a lot of cultural signs that fit us. I'm sorry?
Did that apply to our school assemblies as well?
You mean like our mascots? Correct. That's a good one. That's more of a local, If you're in a school district and you see the terrier around, I'm telling you what mine was. The bulldog around. You know that has something to do with that school. Absolutely. You have cultural signs right within your own home. A lot of people, want Keeblers. So when you see an elf, what do you think of? Keeblers. Okay. Cookies, right. Again, I'm telling stories on myself. But yeah, thank you, Coquette. But these cultural signs are very important for understanding what you're receiving in your meditations or dreams or even going down the road, because it is an easier way to understand. Right. If you're hungry and you see a Keebler sign, you know what that means. You need to eat. Okay. So it's important for that. Now, the last one I'm going to speak of before we get into some of these signs is the one we call the personal forms. Okay. And that is just what you feel. Just what you feel. Say that in a meditation or sleep, you see a swing set. Not everybody has the same response to a swing set as you might have. That's personal. For me, when I see a swing set, I remember the Christmas that my dad set up our swing set we got for Christmas in the living room. Okay? So that's a personal response to it. And we all have that. And it's important to know that the personal images that we receive top any of the others, the culture or the universal. They're the most important. Going back to the cross. If you see a cross in your meditation or dream, each of us might have a different way of perceiving that. If you've been raised in a very strong Christian environment, it might give you a sense of peace or a sense of connection. Okay. If you were raised in a Christian family that had a lot of laws and a lot of don'ts, you have a different response than the person that was given that peace that came along with the cross. So that's why even with these universal or cultural ones, you need to pay attention to how you feel. And again, it goes back to the colors. The colors, the energy you feel when you see them. Okay, because not everybody sees them the same way. Now, if you go through this list of back there, we have like pets and things, animals and things. When I see a dog, this has a tendency to say friendships, a loving, partnership. Okay? When I see a dog, to me, it's unconditional love. Okay? Now if you've been chased by a dog or bit by a dog, you're seeing anything but unconditional love. Okay? So, again, the personal response to symbols is very, very important. Okay? Now, you guys share with me some of your personal images. I know you have them. Yes, ma'am.
It took me a while to realize that when I'm doing readings and someone shows up hiding behind a tree, I know that they were somehow responsible for their leaving the earth.
Okay. Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, very helpful. Uh-huh. Okay, anyone else? Oh, come on. I know there are. Hawk, yes. You need to look around. Very much so. On the same lines as the birds, okay? When I see a turkey, okay? I'm not thinking of Thanksgiving. I'm thinking of within 3 days, because you need to pay attention when you get these symbols. The universe will give you a time link. And I know mine's 3 days. When I see a symbol, within 3 days, somebody that's going to be a real turkey is going to come into my vibration. With that being said, when it happens, I'm not thrown off balance by saying, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? And symbols like this turkey have a sense of humor to it. So when it comes in, I can have a lighter energy. I'm not threatened, I'm not challenged. It's just like, oh, the universe wants me to learn to be a little bit more humorous when I'm dealing with this person. Okay? So pay attention, because like I said earlier, it's the full package. It's the full package when you get these symbols. Now we can also have these symbols based on our fears. Okay? So we need to pay attention to when we get a symbol, whatever it is, what energy around you has made you feel fearful. Okay? Because with symbols, there's usually an incident or emotion that brings that symbol into your vibrations. Okay? It's just not, it's not dial-up symbol. There's some energy that brings it in. So most of us have some type of symbol that throws us back on our heels a bit. So share. You guys have one? No? Lucky you.
A bear on its two hind legs.
Bear on a, yeah.
On its two hind legs.
And what do you consider that bear?
Girl, run.
Okay, it's a threat.
Yes.
You have been put in a position of being threatened. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
When I see a bird cage, I know that I'm banging around in the bird cage and I'm driving myself crazy. And it makes me remember there never really was a war. So anytime I see a bird cage, I know that I've created a frustrating situation.
Well, that's good. That's good. And it gives you a little bit like my turkey. You're aware and you can deal with it. Yeah. The turkey in the very beginning when I started seeing it, I was thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to deal with this person? And then as I meditate and grow a little bit, I realized that turkey's great. You know, because it does give me, our dreams and our meditations, when we get a lot of symbols, can be considered a roadmap. Okay, so you just lay out that roadmap and say, oh, here we go. And when the old-fashioned, for those of you that don't know what a roadmap is, it's a piece of paper with directions on it. And we had them in our glove compartment for every state we ever went through. Okay, but never the right one for the right state. Okay, but that can be a roadmap. Yes, Marie? Yeah. What Marie was saying, that in Reiki they use symbols for different parts of the body for different types of procedure when it comes to healing. Okay. And basically that's the roadmap. You're given a roadmap. And so when we think about the symbols, we have to be very thankful that the universe has given us, even though there's times when we feel like we have no direction, we do have a direction if we stop and recognize it. Okay. Now let's go to that piece of paper that everybody is curious about going through. Okay. Now, some of these symbols, these are the universal symbols for those of you online. Can this pick up on the camera?
It might.
I'm going to hold it up, and that's what it is. Okay? And that's what we're going to go through. The first one is a circle. And that, again, is that universal symbol. And that circle is beginning and no end. That's simple. That's a simple thing. Okay. The Hindu, the American Indian, they all have symbols. India has the symbol of the wheel, circle. American Indians have the medicine wheel, which represents no beginning and no end, just growth. Some of the others, you look down here, the circle with a dot in it, Alpha, Omega. The infinity, divine beginning. Some of these universal symbols we have see, but we have never really paid attention to what the full meaning is, which is good. All of us know the Yin and Yang, male and female, light and darkness. So that one we pretty much know about, okay? The square, okay? 4 corners of the earth. So when you meditate and you get a square, you need to concentrate on what area of that square your energy goes to. Or if you see a symbol and one area is more intense than the other, you can say, oh, I need to pay attention to the east side of where I'm going, are my decisions. If you have a decision, focus on that square. It'll tell you, oh, supposed to go west, north. So there's all these little things with that. Universal symbols can be very, I want to say confusing, because it's based on the culture of the world. And we don't always understand that. Yes, John?
Do you think that if there wasn't the yin and the yang and the opposites, do you think there would be more peace in the world?
Okay, John asked if there was a yin and yang, if there would be more peace in the world.
Everything was one side.
No, I don't. That's my personal feeling with that, because the yin and yang is balance.
Yeah, but it's also conflict.
It's balance. It's how we handle it that makes the conflict. Okay. So if our energies and our attitude are balanced, that's where our peace is. Okay. So I don't believe that if it was all feminine or all masculine, we've gone through eternity with this balance, which we need. And every time that we have major issues in our world, it's because one or the other, the male or the female, has been more in control.
But how could you have peace and tranquility if there's two opposites?
Balance.
It's not balance. They're going in different directions.
No, it is balance. That's why you have a line through it. It's balance. Yes, ma'am.
So when I see yin yang, I'm thinking of it as a black and white. Everyone talks about it being red, but the black area has a white dot, and the white area has a black dot. So it talks about, I think, the oneness.
That's right.
But there's a connection, even though you feel like you're an opposite. There's a connection within you to that which seems other.
What the lady was saying is that because of the black dot or the white dot in each quadrant of the yin and yang, is that it shows that there is a balance and there is a unity. Okay, all of us, whether we want to admit it or not, all of us have, going back to what we're talking with John, all of us have, if we're a female, we have male energy. If we're a male, we have female energy. And the balance of that through life is where we have our peace and tranquility. Yes, ma'am.
I was just what you were saying about staying on that centered line.
Exactly.
That is the real secret to the yin yang symbol, staying there.
Yeah. And what you're saying, the lady was saying that staying in the center part of the yin yang is where the balance is, and that's where the peace is. So, and yes, go ahead.
I studied teaching under a master, and I asked about the yin yang. And I said there's always seems to be a trinity to any kind of creation. So what's the trinity in the yin yang? And my teacher explained that when you have the empty circle, you have the Tao of God. When the Tao is in motion, it creates equal complementary opposites that are in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
When you have this turmoil,
One of them's out of balance. Yeah.
you get back to peace.
Right. Yeah. And she was just saying what we were talking about is this the balance. That's with the yin and yang. It's that balance, and we all work with that. We all work with that. Now, going down on the next page, you see the symbol of infinity. Most of us know that, So, if you're meditating, and that comes through, again, that goes back a little bit about balance, but it also means there's no beginning and no end. And for spiritualists, that's great, because we believe that we go on. So that's a very important sign for us. All right, we went through, and you asked about the Ankh, and you see that Ankh is a universal symbol. Okay. Now, here's some of the stuff we'll go through that most people like too, is the psychic symbols. Okay? And I'm going to hold this up. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but it'll give you an idea. Okay? Now, angel. The first one is an angel. Okay? And when you see that, that represents the desire to become more spiritual. It also, even though it doesn't say here, it can mean that you have an angel around you and that you should go into that peace, that angel is there to protect you. Okay. We go back to the birds. That's a transitional omen. Everybody knows in spiritualism, just when you see a red bird, that's that spirit communicating with you, of someone that has passed, saying, hey, I'm still here. I'm still here. Okay, now this is one that I always like, is the butterfly. The transition of the soul. You know, Decor has a statement about a butterfly. Doesn't worry about the moment, just lives for the day. And that's what the soul should do. I like this one. I have not ever thought about this because I'm an owner of a cat. And it says here, spiritual represents subconsciousness. A cat. Now, there's no coincidences in history or how we think about things. The cat has always been connected with wise women. Okay, that symbol. So that it shows that, you know, no matter how far back we go, there's certain symbols that stick with us. That the cat is intuition and subconsciousness. Here again, here's my dog. It says loyalty, faithfulness, a friend. And like I said, you know, to me it's unconditional love, because a dog is about the only thing that will give you unconditional love, no matter how you treat them. Unlike the cat I have. Okay. Then there's one about the fish. Fertility. Okay. I think that's something that most of us, when we see a fish in any type of reading or anything, we feel that. We know that. Over on the next page is a horse. Okay? When you see a horse, it's supposed to be untamed emotions. Can also mean a message coming. Okay. Do you guys agree with that? Okay, I don't. I don't agree with it. Because I put my personal feelings on the horse over what this is, and this is more of a culture universal. When I see a horse, because a horse, a little bit like a dog, can be very loving and unconditional. So when I see in a reading, if I see horses around a person, I know this person was cared for by many people that loved them and appreciated them. And depending on how many horses in the line, it can go back to childhood, which means friends that they had from childhood, they had through their whole life. And so that to me is what the horse is. And it could be different for each of you, but this is a guideline. It doesn't always be exactly like that. So if any of you have seen horses, what does it mean to you? Yes, ma'am? Oh, I thought you were saying so. Pardon me? I cannot hear you.
A horse is always going to be Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. She likes the horse races. But then that's good, because that also means that's where your joy is. You had a good time. So when you see a horse, it's happiness. Okay. Yes, ma'am? Freedom. That's can be that way. It can be that way. That's good. Yes, Jonathan.
It means heart space because horses have huge hearts.
Oh, that's a good one.
I always think of it as a person with high emotional.
Yeah. Goes a little bit like what I feel about a horse is that people that pull in love and appreciation. Yes, Peter.
Power.
Absolutely, horsepower. He likes hot cars, I can tell. Horsepower, exactly right. You know what, also, when you think about it, is how we have depended on horses to get us from one place to another. So it can also mean that there is a pathway of change. Okay, so again, that personal meaning with all this. A snake. What do you feel when you see a snake? Don't read, just tell me what you feel. Fear?
Transformation.
Transformation. We got fear, transformation. Regeneration. Pathway. Yes, Inez. Shedding. Okay. This says spiritual understanding, wisdom, power. Also can indicate temptation. Now I wonder where they got that one. A little bit skeptical about that one. But all those are good answers. And shedding to change, the power to change and move on. I can see temptation a little bit with it. Fear. Somebody said fear. Okay. I also see, the wisdom is what I've always seen with the snake. Okay. It means that there's some type of knowledge, wisdom that's going to come to you. Okay. Shouldn't fear him when you see him in your dream. You need to go back and see how you're reacting to it. Make sense? Yes, ma'am. Okay, water. As a spiritualist, what does water mean?
Emotions.
Water can mean emotions. Okay. Cleansing, it can be cleansing. Okay. Yes. Absolutely. The spiritual or spiritual wisdom is usually what water represents. But again, if it's, make it personal. Make it personal. When you see water in a meditation, reading, always pay attention to how the water is. If it's rough, if it's smooth, if it's dark, is it clear? Because that'll give you more of an understanding of what that water means. Dark water means that you're going through an area of you're not getting clear wisdom. Okay. Rough seas means that you're on a rough spiritual path. Clear water is obvious. Okay. Say if you see a boat on the water and it has no rudder, what do you think that means? No direction on your spiritual path. Exactly. So all those little details are very important when you see symbols. That's why, symbol books, things like this are good because it gives you a little bit of idea, but you always need to pay attention to how you feel with it. Always. As a medium, those of you that are mediums, you know that you can't always try to rationalize some of the images you have. You just have to give it out because that image pertains to the person you're reading for, not always to you. So when you try to understand it on your understanding, you might lose a little bit. You might lose a little bit. Okay. So that's one of the keys with mediumship. Okay, let's go over to the birds. Who's afraid of a bird? You're afraid of a bird. You are. Okay. Were you frightened as a child with a bird?
Well, I'm just going to be honest and tell you that old Richard, that movie, The Birds, that did really scare me.
I can understand. She's saying the movie The Birds really influenced her. Exactly. I feel the same way. I don't like a bird flying over my head because of that movie and for other reasons, but I don't like them flying over my head. There's an old wise tale my grandmother always would tell me, and so I've had a hard time releasing that, is when you see a bird in the house, it means somebody's passing. Okay? So when I see a meditation with the bird in the house, I sort of go back to that. Okay? Not that I'm afraid of birds, it's just based on my personal. Yes, ma'am.
I personally like owls, and I think they mean wisdom in darkness, but I was doing a sweat lodge one time, and to the Native American who was running the sweat lodge, that was a really bad symbol. So an owl flew over our sweat lodge, and he just was going to burn our skin off. He was so worried about that bad omen. So to us it was a beautiful symbol, but to him it was a bad omen.
Yeah, because if you look here, an owl on that list, it says mystery of magic, omens, silent wisdom, okay, vision in the night. Okay, so I can see where that is, because in a sweat lodge you're supposed to be opening up, and so it's that. I had the strangest experience going down Casadega Road one time, and an owl came flying right beside me for the longest ways, and I'm thinking, okay, this means something. Okay, so I was really paying attention, and when I went up over to the bridge, right when I got up over the bridge crossing I-4, there was a car accident. So that owl was telling me, pay attention, be wise. So I like seeing owls. I like seeing owls. How about the rest of you? Yes, ma'am. You don't like owls? Meditate on it. Meditate and see where that source is. And that's a good point. If you're afraid of something like an owl or even an animal, meditate on what was the source of that. So you can meditate on it, see it clearly, and release it. And you can release it. So that's a good thing with meditation and seeing these symbols. Yes, ma'am?
I have a mixed feeling on birds. Generally, because my husband used to like to let them go loose in the house, and you know the flying over the head thing you mentioned? But first thing I feel very positive about this.
Yeah, and that brings a good point. She was saying how she gets mixed feelings about birds. Most of us have mixed feelings about most everything because of our experiences during our life that had either a negative or a positive influence on our life. So that's one of the things to pay attention. You see here the turkey again. It says here, shared blessings and harvest. I'm not so much that way. Not so much that way. Okay. But again, if you see, well, let me clarify. When I see a wild turkey, okay, a wild turkey, that's a little different. Now, if I see a turkey on a platter, on a table, I'm thinking family gathering. Okay, so that's the details a little bit different. So when you use these guides or dream books or whatever, make sure you pay attention to how you feel. I have said this over and over again. You have to see how you feel about it and take all the details in. You know, a cooked turkey is different than a wild turkey. Okay. All right. Vultures.
Protection.
Comments on vultures? Yes, ma'am.
Where a turkey vultures my spirit animal. It feels like whenever I'm in need of feeling the spirit around me, if I go out, I see turkey vultures in the sky, and that's my connection.
This lady was saying her spirit animal is a turkey vulture because it gives her a sense of peace and when she needs it. This says purification, death, rebirth, birth, and new vision. Okay. Now, when I see a vulture, or turkey buzzard, or we call them turkey buzzards in the South, there's a situation that needs to be cleaned up. Okay? Because vultures, they clean up things, and we need them. But it shows there's something in my energies that I need to clean up. Again, putting that on the personal side. Any more comments about birds, vultures? Yes? That makes sense. Phew, I'm glad.
The condor represents the upper world in South America.
The condor?
Yeah, it's a
The
vulture.
upper? Yeah, because, it is a vulture, but the condor is that one bird that can go up into the atmosphere.
Yep.
So, yes, ma'am. I can barely hear you, please. Shame on you.
I wanted to share that a couple of years ago, we moved from outdoor things from Florida to Pearson. And when we got to the property, we looked at the house, there was an owl. And I just had this peace. And I felt like it was my late son saying, this is it. So is there something to that?
Well, going back, because you did probably miss some of the statements about whatever the symbol is, you have to make it personally based on what you experience. So if you saw that owl and you felt at peace and you felt that maybe it was your late son, then that's exactly what it was, because it's based on what you feel at that time. Okay? All right. We don't have time to go through all this. But there's body parts. Pay attention to the body parts. We're not going to go through the whole body, okay? I like this one, the wrist. When you think of the wrist, what do you think of? School?
Flexibility.
Oh, flexibility. I thought she said school. Well, it says here, personal obligations.
Oh, never heard of that. That's cool.
That makes sense, though, because you're responsible. You have to take control of the situation, and when you take control of certain things, you have to use your hands. So that makes sense. Feet, direction, journey, personal stance, foundation, being on one's feet. Okay, make sense to you? I had a teacher that said when you see feet, it's movement, that you need to make some type of movement. Okay, which makes sense. Okay, let's see what else. Head, ideas, one's state of mind. Okay, it also can mean that you're attempting to be a little overly logical instead of trusting the gut, the spiritual feelings. Okay. Again, my personal, you make it yours. Colors. When I was talking, we pay attention to all the colors because they mean something. Everybody has a tendency to agree on red being a very passionate color. Okay. For me, when red, it's a powerful color. So if I want to show power, I'm going to be in red. Okay, that's a warning to the rest of you. Okay. Yellow, the intelligence. Okay. But again, make these colors your own. So read through these. I want to thank everyone for being here. Any comments or questions before we close up today? Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say, to the author of Paulo Coelho, he's not writing the book until a white feather comes up. He sees a white feather. And so he doesn't want to write by that. Like, he will not start a book until a white feather comes into his path.
Well, that makes sense. What she's saying, there's an author that will only write his next book when he sees a white feather. And that makes, perfect sense. That once we learn to trust these symbols, we have a perfect, complete roadmap to where we're supposed to be going. And I want to thank everyone.